Network Entertainment.
Parang ang weird because we all have a desire to be seen and yet we're afraid of being seen.
Yes.
So how do you navigate that that dichotomy?
Well, you kind of want to also put yourself in the shoes of the people that you want to serve.
Right.
Most of the time kasi the people that we want to serve are also us when we needed help. Start shifting the focus away from how do we look? What does their brand look? Di ba?
Right.
But to start just shifting away from that. Kasi yung fear of being seen natin, nanggagaling dun eh. Nanggagaling siya sa, do I look perfect enough?
Right.
Do I look like an expert? Parang, mapaperceive na ba ako as
May karapatan
expert?
ba?
Oo, may karapatan ba ako na gawin to? Anong sasabihin nila? Sino ba ako? Yun ba yung sasabihin ko? So, it would always help to shift that thinking into just talking to one person.
Hi, this is Mirza Season. Welcome to You Can Do This, a podcast that'll help you achieve your dreams and goals one episode at a time. What are you waiting for? Let's go! Putting yourself out there can feel terrifying, whether it's speaking up in a meeting, sharing a secret passion, posting about your work or self on social media, or simply letting yourself be seen. We fear judgment, rejection, or being misunderstood, so we hold back even if we know that visibility can help us reach our dreams. Our guest today helps people move past those fears and show up with confidence. You might know her as a TikTok edu creator with over 228,000 followers and a 2023 Best of TikTok award. She's a globally certified professional neuroplastician, one of only 30 plus in the world, a creative entrepreneur, and a communication strategist. As the founder of Brave Creatives and Brave Creators Lab, she helps individuals and brands tell their stories with honesty and courage, using brain science, storytelling, and self-leadership to stop hiding and step into their light. Please welcome Kia Abrera.
Hi.
Hi, Kia.
Hi.
I'm
great to be here.
I'm so thrilled to finally have you on the show. So, what inspired and led you to do the work that you do now? What's the little story of how this all came about?
It's actually quite a journey. Like I think in the past 20 years, because I've always looked at myself as kind of a multi-passionate. So I wanted to do so many things ever since I was a kid. I was always led by curiosity because my family environment, they always provided a safe space for me to just explore my curiosity, and it was the same for me and my siblings. So I wanted to be so many things. I felt like if I wanted to be an actress, a performer, a musician, I think at some point I wanted to be a mermaid. I don't know. and then when I was exploring my options in college, I said, what can be a way for me to integrate all of these different passions of mine?
Right.
My writing. I'd love to write. I love film.
And you were a singer too, right?
Yes, I was also I was also into performing and theater. So where can I integrate all of this? So I went into film. I got my bachelor's in film, and I went into advertising because I discovered advertising from one of my professors in film. And then I went into marketing. It became an entire rabbit hole. And then I went into copywriting. It was just like a lifetime of exploration for me. And right now, what I'm currently doing, being a neuroplastician and being in, teaching creatives the business of their creativity and helping brands, market from a human-centered point of view. I think it all stemmed from this is gonna be weird, but it all stemmed from like my biggest failure in 2023.
Which was when you won the award?
No, actually, that was that was like
which came before?
Well, when I was part of the Best of TikTok in 2023, that was already, I think that was after. No, that was before.
Okay.
That was before. So the biggest failure that I had in my business was I created this event called the Likha Creative Entrepreneurship Summit. So the main goal of that was to um, get more Filipino creatives to learn about the business side of creativity. It had a successful run in 2022. So we repeated it in 2023. It was bigger. And then a week before, I had to cancel it because of low sales. So when I canceled it, it was a very public failure for me. Like I had to, I, I, I actually proceeded with a smaller version of that event, just to because we had like the venues paid for. So you know what? Let's just proceed with this. And after the entire event, I went in front of everybody and I said, I wish I could say that I could speak from a person who has found success in the event, but I'm standing here in front of everybody being a failure.
Wow.
And I did that. And then, there were a lot of people who spread like false narratives about me. They started laughing about, and literally there was someone on my Instagram saying, deserve, things
Oh
like
my
that. It was
gosh.
so, of course, it wasn't an easy thing for me to go through because I was wallowing in self pity. I was wallowing in self doubt. And then at a certain point, after processing a lot of it, and it was the same year that I got diagnosed with ADHD.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and I was 4 months postpartum.
Oh my.
So all of the so all of that happened, and then I realized after a few months of processing everything, I said, you know what? I think the breakthrough is coming here because I no longer have the fear of being seen.
Yeah. I was about to say,
There is like
talk about the
nawala
fear.
na, I'm like there there's no point for me to
Right.
hide
Yeah.
anything anymore
What
because
more can you fear?
yeah, I mean what more can I mean why would I exert energy into trying to please the people who already had narratives about me?
Right.
And then from then on, I was like, you know what? This is it. This is already stripped. Might as well share it.
Right.
And that's when I started to, because of my ADHD diagnosis, I started learning more and more about the brain, how the brain is wired. First, it was just about because I was now classified as a neurodivergent,
Right.
and then I started learning about neuroplasticity, and then I realized when I underwent the certification process that hey, the the interviewer, one of the panel interviewers, he told me, "So you've been doing this for a long time," and I didn't realize that I've been doing it for like nearly 7 years because they award because there are 3 levels to that certification. I was only gunning for the first level. I didn't think I was that experienced. And then when I went through the entire process, they actually awarded me with the second level, which is more than 5 years of practice. So I said, there's something here. There's
Wow.
something to be explored here. And that's when I started exploring from then on.
Wow. Wow. So you are the most qualified person to talk about overcoming the fear of being seen. So it was kind of like as if you were professionally naked, right?
Yes. Yes.
But were you always afraid of being seen? Like if you say that when you were young you wanted to perform and be in the limelight. So
Yeah.
that doesn't look like the fear of being seen, but
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, the fear of being seen for me, it stems from our fear of social rejection.
oh yes, of course.
It is. And I think that's why I developed like something internal for me. When I was a kid, of course, when we were kids, we don't our brains are not yet fully developed
Right.
to understand, executive
Function. Yeah.
function. We don't understand risks. That's
Right.
why it was instilled in me that I love to perform.
Yeah, yeah.
I grew up in a very musical family. I loved to sing. And then when I went in front of a crowd, I would just sing without practice.
Right,
And
right.
I didn't care about the consequences because I was a kid. And I think that kind of, speaking as a neuroplastician, that kind of built this neural pathway for me. Na it was automatic for me to be, hey, anyone want to sing? Yeah, I'm gonna raise my hand like this. Just me. So it was like that. But that I think for me is a difference between a performative kind of
Oh,
thing
right,
rather
right,
than
right.
being vulnerable in front of
Right,
people and
right,
sharing vulnerabilities,
right.
sharing your curiosities. Because I was also smart shamed in school.
Oh, okay.
So it was like it was two different things that made me confused. So I would be happy to perform, but then when you tell me to do public speaking, I'd be like,
Oh, okay. Right.
I would I would think second thoughts. So it feels like it's more vulnerable,
Right.
and it's more, I feel more naked, if there is
Yes.
such a term, when I would do something like that. I would show
So
up in
most
that kind of
people
way.
fear visibility exactly because of the vulnerability they have to display.
Yes, and from a primitive brain point of
Right.
view, because when we is it okay if I speak in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Filipino
Yeah,
also?
yeah, yeah naman.
So kasi yung brains natin from a primitive point of view from ancient times, it has viewed social rejection in the same. It processes social rejection in the same neural pathway
Right.
as when you're facing a saber-toothed tiger.
Right.
So we can feel social rejection as physical pain, literally. Kaya, and add to that, yung sa ano natin, sa Filipino culture natin, yung pakikisama,
Right.
yung utang na loob, or yung very collectivist natin na na
Iiwanan ka
society.
ng tribe
Yeah, iiwanan ka ng tribe,
in front of the tiger.
or you're gonna be if there's parang cognitive dissonance,
Right,
it's
right.
gonna be you're gonna be socially, it's like a social
Ostracized. Right,
violation.
right, right.
So parang mare-reject ka ng tribe.
Uh-uh.
So right now, yung fear of being seen natin or yung fear of visibility natin, parang I remember this quote na when you stand out, you're an easier target.
Yeah.
So it's actually not necessarily the fear of being seen, but it's the fear of being scrutinized.
Or the fear of being different.
Yeah, it could also be the fear of being different or being perceived as different,
Right.
or being perceived as someone na hindi ka sakto dito sa
Right.
tinatry namin gawin.
Right.
So from there, it's hard to kind of navigate the path on
Right.
your own, especially if you're growing up in a culture of interdependence.
Right.
So parang napakalaki ng ginagawa ng social rejection sa atin.
Right.
We feel it as physical pain.
Right.
So in that manner, we would rather put on a mask. We
Right.
would put on like something that we wanted to perform
Right.
in order for us to be socially accepted,
Right.
rather than state a controversial opinion, kasi natatakot tayo doon sa yung isang negative comment can really literally bring physical pain to us.
Right. Is it an Asian thing necessarily, where if Western cultures are more individualistic, or same thing?
There's actually a very Filipino thing sa so there's actually a very Filipino undertone, parang very Filipino psychology in interdependence, in the idea of interdependence and collectivism, kasi ganun nga tayo as a
Right.
society. We grew up like that, and add to that 400 years of being colonized,
Right, right.
and people telling us that our thoughts, our ways of beings are not good enough.
Right.
So we literally built that cultural neural pathways na parang it's already deep seated sa atin.
Wow.
And even yung utang na loob, yung parang the parang deep seated reciprocity,
Right.
na if you are to earn our attention,
And love.
you need to parang lahat ng gagawin mo kailangan may i-earn ka back. So all of those things, masyado na natin siyang iniisip.
So paano na?
So paano na?
Paano na? Kung neural pathway na. Cultural neural pathway.
Yeah, it's a very I think it's not an easy thing for us to parang battle against
Right.
the culture that we already have. Kasi mahirap yun, 400 years yun diba? That's more than like 3 times our lifetime. So in that sense, I always believe in the next doable step.
Okay.
That's my principle.
The next doable step.
The principle of the next doable step. So, what can I do today specifically that's going to start rewiring the way that I think?
Oh, okay.
So in that sense, parang if you have a fear of being seen, ano yun eh, we have to first understand na it's not our fault. Hindi
Okay.
hindi natin siya fault as human beings. It was
Right.
literally it was wired into our being.
Right.
And add to that na pag kunyari if you grew up in a household na parang you were taught to be a certain way, to take a certain course,
Right.
na if you don't follow us, there will be consequences. Right? So, if nag-grow up tayo sa ganong klaseng environment, it's also hard for us to get out of that thinking. So, the first thing for me, every time that I work with clients or I work with personality development and things like that, is for you to create safety in your own mind first. Parang, so how do you create safety in your own mind? I like to think of just one thing. It's reframing. So, pag sinabi nating reframing, for example, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You say, how do I get out of this? Because when that simple like shift in linguistics, it was I think Werner Erhard who said all transformation is linguistic. So when you start to shift the language that you have, it can start there. It can start there. So instead of saying pag lumalabas na yung fear mo of being seen, kasi I'm bad at marketing. Kasi I mean, who am I to say this?
Sino ba naman ako
Sino ba
para-
naman ako para ano yun, para magsabi about this, right? We have to understand now when we are trying to perform or when we're trying to create a personal brand, di ba? When we're trying to do that, we're already coming from a place of creating in order to control a result na we can't control. Kasi ang personal brand, di ba, ano yan eh, that's, ang personal brand or ang brand, it's a result of human perception. It's not something that you create. So what you can do is instead of, turning your authenticity into an SOP, di ba? What you can do is you just start with curiosity.
Okay.
What are the things that you are curious about? What can you share
Right.
that just gets you curious? And then start showing up without any expectations. It's one of the things that I did with one of my clients. I gave her a 30-day
Challenge.
30-day challenge. And what I told her is no expectations, no limitations. Do not look at the metrics. Do not look at what other people will say. The measure of success that you have is that you posted for today. That's
Right.
it. Once you posted, that's
Right.
it. So that for me is the next doable step. So it's kind of like a brain hack. So when you try to create something, for example, you saw something from a book that that got you interested. Write about it, write your thoughts about it, post it. That's it. There's no other metric. There's no other success metric to that. You're not gonna look at the vanity metrics, you're not gonna look at the number of likes, all of that stuff. Kasi nga, ang social media, it kind of amplifies everything.
Yeah.
So when someone likes it, someone comments on it, it produces the dopamine in our brain and we crave for the external validation. And then suddenly, dun na naman, when a specific piece of content doesn't perform, we would be like, I'm a rejection. Doon na naman, magpa-fire up na naman siya lahat. So, and then people are gonna say, so how do I be consistent with this? Gusto ko ng maraming viral content, di ba? So, so that's the first step for me, is just to build the creation muscle.
Right.
Build the muscle first na the only thing that you need to do is to share a thought.
Okay.
What is one thing that you can share today that might add value to someone else. So I said, it's just, you don't need to, position yourself as an expert in anything, na ganyan, ganyan. In this 30-day challenge,
Right.
you only need to think of three H's. You want to be human, you want to be honest, and you want to be helpful.
Okay.
That's it. Be human, be honest, be helpful. And then that, I think that kind of works in a different way kasi it rewires your brain to just start creating.
right.
It just builds these new pathways. Kasi that's what neuroplasticity does, or that's
Right.
what neuroplasticity explains to us, na you can build these, your brain can rewire.
Right.
Your brain can transform no matter, if you're 8 or 80. It's always consistently renovating.
So instead of keeping asking why, bakit ba ako natatakot? Bakit ba ako nahihiya? Step into action right away.
Yeah.
And just start acting.
Yes. Just start doing something that doesn't require a lot of cognitive load. It
Right,
doesn't
right.
require a lot of brain effort.
Right.
Parang hindi mo siya kailangan i-overthink. Just snap in. Kasi the best antidote to overthinking is take action.
Right.
So,
right.
Hi, guys. We are the Eavesdrop Podcast. My name is Francesca.
My name is Jelly.
This is Delamar.
This is Jude. What's up?
Yeah, and we are inviting you to check us out, your fellow TPN podcast.
And if you want to learn more about life, what's happening around us, you want to know about love, healing, this is the podcast you should be listening to.
Eavesdrop, 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 eavesdrop. Sometimes we get drunk and do the show. Those are the fun ones.
Like today,
Ooh, why? Who's drunk?
Like right now.
you're red as a bug.
Am I? Eavesdrop, please catch it. 4 hosts going crazy. You'll have fun. You'll cry. Everything else. So please check it out. The Eavesdrop.
Only on the Pod Network.
this consistent action, kasi you kind of wanna think about your brain as, when you're walking through a forest, for example, 'di ba? Minsan pag nasa gubat tayo, meron pathway. Kasi doon na laging
Nakasanayan.
Doon nakasanayan, doon tayo laging nagdumadaan. So
Right.
yung mga, 'di ba, yung mga grass niya nakagano na siya. So it's already building like that. And when you're thinking about neuroplasticity, you're basically just looking at another path. It's not easy. Sometimes the path is easier, but creating the path is not easy. So, maglalakad ka ng maglalakad doon kahit na alam mo na it doesn't serve you anymore. Dun ka pa rin dadaan. Because yung default mode ng brain natin is to save energy. Its primary work, its primary function is to save energy. So it's easier for us to keep going down this neural pathway rather than create a new one.
Right.
Because that takes, you change, it takes a lot of brain energy.
Right. What's another example of applying that besides social media?
When it comes to our
When
own
it comes
lives.
to, yes, our own lives. Let's say fear of speaking up in a meeting, or maybe we're afraid, nako, pabida na naman siya. Di ba? Mga comment na ganyan.
Yes,
Ay na
yes.
naman siya, pumapapel na naman.
Well, actually, it helps to have first parang an understanding that talagang ganun yung brains natin.
Okay.
But action-wise, one of my clients, I remember, ganun siya.
Okay.
Lagi niyang iniisip na, what if I raise my hand, sasabihin nilang
Yes.
pabibo ako?
Ah.
What if, laging may what if. So I tell her, if you have something to say, within 5 seconds, raise your hand.
Okay. So
That's
may
it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, raise your hand.
Okay.
Bahala na.
Okay.
So don't stop thinking about the consequence. I mean,
Right.
mahirap yun yung pag sinabi mong stop thinking about ganyan. Kasi that's all that they're gonna do.
Right.
So, give them, I try to give them a time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have a thought? Raise your hand.
Okay. Does it work?
It works. It worked for her.
Okay.
It worked for her.
So what happened to her?
She started
Pabiba na
speaking
siya.
out. She started speaking out. I mean, hindi naman
Okay.
siya yung completely bibo.
Right.
But, 3, 4 weeks into it,
Right.
she now just raises her hand.
Right.
I want to speak. Can I speak freely?
Right. So you make a habit out of
Yes.
act as if you are not shy.
Yeah. I think dito pumapasok yung fake it till you make it.
Yes.
I mean, fake it till you make it. Confidence, yes. Credentials, no.
Right.
So, in that regard, it was the easiest thing kasi for her to do. It was the easiest thing for her brain to process.
Right.
Kasi yung energy niya napupunta sa raise the hand. Hindi napupunta yung energy niya sa
Anong sasabihin
sasabihin
nila?
ko?
Okay.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I need to raise my hand.
Right.
Dun mapupunta yung attention
Okay.
ng brain niya. So, a lot of overthinkers tend to think that way kasi we're trying to process too much input.
Right.
And that's where, the overthinking comes from.
Right.
Parang hindi nagiging purposeful yung overthinking natin. Yeah.
A lot of people like Coach Ren, ayaw nila like even if it's essential for their business. Now, you can't really have a business without visibility.
Yeah.
They are themselves coaches and they don't want to post.
Yeah. I think it also comes with, for example, pag sa branding, it's hard to read the label from the inside.
Yes. Oh, that's
So
a good one.
when it's time for you to do it yourself, it's
Right.
easy for you to transfer the knowledge, to have someone else do it. Kasi I also experienced that for myself, na parang building my personal brand and all of that.
Cringe.
I just start, when it comes to building my personal brand, I just stopped building a personal brand
Okay.
altogether. I just stopped. And then that's what I started, telling my clients, my students for my programs. I mean, let's remove this pressure of building a personal brand. And let's just start sharing things that
Right.
people might be interested in, that might add value to people, Parang come from your own natural tendencies and your natural curiosities. Kasi the brand is gonna be a result eh. You don't, quote-unquote, build it.
Right.
Parang you don't wanna pressure yourself na every time na you post, lagi mo siyang i-filter through, on brand ba to? Is this gonna make me look intelligent? Or is this gonna position me as an expert? All of that. Parang, kasi when I started, sharing more vulnerability, I started talking about the messy middle.
Right,
I started talking about the things that I went through. Mas nagkaroon ng connection with, people that I like to connect with. People that I like having conversations with. Na they started also sharing their own thoughts. They started telling me na, hey, you know what? No one has articulated this before. No one has let me feel seen the same way that this video has. And that's because you're starting to share from an authentic and from a vulnerable place. And in the age of social media, people are craving for connection. They're not looking for perfection. They want connection.
So organic, not processed.
Yes, organic, organic, not processed, gluten free.
So what do you want to say to someone who parang ang weird because we all have a desire to be seen and yet we're afraid of being seen.
Yes.
So how do you navigate that that dichotomy?
Well, you kind of want to also put yourself in the shoes of the people that you want to serve.
Right.
Most of the time kasi the people that we want to serve are also us when we needed help eh.
Yes.
So what would you tell someone who was maybe you 3 years
Right,
ago?
your younger self.
Right. Or someone who it would help kasi to start shifting the focus away from how do we look? What does their brand look? Di ba?
Right.
But to start just shifting away from that. Kasi yung fear of being seen natin, nanggagaling dun eh. Nanggagaling siya sa do I look perfect enough?
Right.
Do I look like an expert? I mean, parang mapaperceive na ba ako as
May karapatan
expert?
ba?
Oo, may karapatan ba ako na gawin to? Anong sasabihin nila? Sino ba ako? Yun ba yung sasabihin ko? So, it would always help to shift that thinking into just talking to one person. Maybe you talk to one person today and this person told you na, hey, you know what? Ganito yung naging problema ko. Ganito yung naging problema ko. Kasi there's a reason bakit ikaw yung nilapitan niya. There's a reason kung bakit nag-ask siya ng advice sa'yo. you're already adding value to this one person. So when you show up, you want to think about this person is going to see me. This person is going to see what I'm about to say because this person needs it.
Right.
So it would just help to think about one person. What is a problem that they felt safe enough to share with you? And then start sharing something about that from a general perspective. Kasi there are always going to be people who will need what you can share from your own unique thought process.
Right.
And it's not, it's so much better to do that rather than to say, natatakot ako dun sa mga hindi mag-a-agree sa akin. Ba't sa kanila ka mag-focus, di ba? Ba't sa kanila ka mag-focus, hindi dun sa tao na natulungan mo?
Okay.
So, it's, our negativity bias is natural in the brain. Na parang, we can detect threats 5 times faster than opportunities. It's hardwired
Okay.
in our brain. Kasi that's also part of the primitive brain na nagsascan ka talaga for threats. And ngayon, ganun din tayo. When it comes to social validation, mas masakit yung isang negative comment kaysa sa 100 positive comments. Mas mapapansin natin siya. So it's the same. It's the same parang mechanism that's happening. So as much as it as hard it is to focus on the positive, the way that we want to create is to just think of this singular person
Right.
who went to us for help. And then just share the thought process with people.
Wow. So come from a place of helping rather than validation seeking.
Yeah, I mean, hardwired na talaga sa atin yung validation seeking.
Okay, that's good to know.
Hardwired sa atin yun eh. So I try to tell people na hindi, parang wag na natin masyadong isipin
Tama.
yung masyado natin inisip na, okay, I need to stop thinking about what other people think. And that's all you're gonna think about is what other people think. What other people think. Diba? So, i-accept na natin na talagang may social validation yan.
Okay.
I-accept natin na it's part of our human desire.
Right.
Diba? It's a very human thing to want social validation. It's also one of the things that make you, that kind of confirm also na, hey, you know what, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Or people are gonna say, you know what, that's something that I don't agree with. Okay, that's information. You know, the failure, it's feedback. Parang if a piece of content doesn't work, it doesn't resonate with people, that's feedback to me.
Right.
So I was able to share something. Maybe this is something that this doesn't resonate with them. That's okay. That's okay. It doesn't resonate with as much as I would have wanted, being a human being who wants also social validation. Parang, okay, what is this telling me? What is this, what are people trying to tell me? Right? Or how can I reframe this story in order for it to land better? So there's a lot of things that you can do. So always lead with curiosity. Reframe things with curiosity. Parang, pag hindi ito nag-work, eto na naman, mag-ano naman ako in self-pity na parang, nobody wants me. Ito na yung sinasabi ko, dapat hindi na ako nag-post,
Oo
ganyan.
nga.
Well, felt cute, might delete later, di ba? But then, if you approach it with curiosity, okay, this didn't land. What can I change about this? What's the thought process that I can change with? I mean, social media is more forgiving than we think. If something doesn't land, you can always just try it again with a new angle,
Right.
with a fresh new angle. So you can always do it again. You can
Right.
always try things again.
Are there other baby steps that you recommend?
Baby steps, apart from the 30-day content.
Yes, yes.
Apart from showing up for 30 days. Actually, for me, it would help if talagang nandun pa talaga yung fear mo of being seen.
Oh.
It would really help to post for you. Or
for
record
yourself. Oh,
record for you.
okay.
Record for you, meaning
Private.
you start recording yourself with no intention to post.
Okay.
Parang just record yourself. Just start, parang masanay ka lang na mag-speak.
Right, right.
Magsanay ka lang na mag-write.
At
Parang
masanay
journaling.
sa itsura mo sa video.
Yeah, or hearing your voice. Diba? Kasi tayo mismo yung parang nagkikringe sa sarili
We
nating
hate the sound of our voice.
Yeah, or
Which is apparently also a human, like a normal human reaction.
yes, it is. There are some naman na uy, ganda ng boses ko. Ang ganda ng parang hindi niya nare-realize
okay.
ganon. But there are some kasi na sometimes it's not even the fear of being seen. It's for example, it's the fear of public speaking kasi natatakot sila na matay. Matangtay or mag-stutter.
Or magkamali
ganon.
ng English.
Magkamali ng English. So all of that stuff. I mean, it's still closely tied with
Right.
the fear of being seen, but it's not necessarily yun yung parang threat detection system nila is, okay, baka makita ako or ganyan. It's more of, makikita nila ako magkamali.
Right.
Or ako mismo, magsasalita ako na hindi ko makakome across yung point ko because I got all tongue-tied. I'm so disorganized
Right,
in my
right,
thinking, all of that. So, it helps to have a certain point of creation.
Right.
So if it's not video, you just want to start organizing your thoughts. It's writing. If you want to organize your thoughts, you write. You want to start practicing confidence. You speak on video. No intention to post 30 videos just to build the muscle. So the first thing always is to build the muscle first.
Build the muscle.
Build the
in
muscle
the brain.
first. Build the muscle. Elevate your thinking. Build the brain. Yes.
Right.
And then start taking small but consistent actions from there.
Small but consistent actions. Great.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you want to tell our listeners about why it really helps everyone to overcome their fear of being seen? Like what will change for the better?
Well, there's a lot actually that I want to say, but if I'm going to condense it in just one thing. First, it helps to have an awareness na you're not lazy. You're not lazy.
You're not lazy.
You are not, your value is not diminished,
Okay.
right? You are not unworthy just because a certain post does not reach the number of likes that you want, the number of views that you want, right? It doesn't diminish anyone's worth if a certain work does not reach, the metric that we want or the metric that we kind of set for ourselves. Kasi dun talaga sila that's where the analysis paralysis comes from. And from the analysis paralysis comes inaction. So we have to understand na it's how we have been wired from the start.
Right.
It's how we've been wired from the start. So when it comes to the fear of being seen, you take one small action. Small lang. Hindi siya kailangang, I'm gonna change my personal brand. Di ba? I'm gonna build my personal brand. It doesn't have to be that right away. It's all, I'm gonna share something today.
Right.
What is something that I can share today? What is a quote that I read today?
Right.
That I that really, really resonated with me. Share that.
Right. So kahit stories muna,
Yeah.
hindi post.
Yeah, just share your stories. Or maybe you had an awesome interaction with a client. Or, there's something that you were thinking about while you were sitting in EDSA traffic. All of those stories mean something and it's going to connect with someone somehow. And that's also going to change their own neural pathways.
Oh, okay.
Diba? So, for me, it's always the power of the next doable step.
The power of the next doable step.
So
I
what
love that.
is your next doable step? What is in your immediate vicinity that you can control, that you can have just one slight change?
Right.
It can be, you know what? When this is one of the things that I've done also. I call it implementation intention. Implementation intention. So the formula is when X, I will Y. It's how I will change my habits.
Right.
So we have habits that we already have. So we
Yeah.
want to tie it with a habit na meron na tayo.
Right.
Ginagawa na natin. For example, I want to read more instead of doom scrolling on my phone.
Right.
So instead of telling my brain na, hey, you read more. Di ba? Counterproductive yun eh. So what I do is called habit stacking.
Yeah.
So habit stacking, I would say, when I drink my coffee in the morning, which is something that I already do, I will read 30 pages.
Okay.
If I want to practice articulation, when I'm brushing my teeth, which, hopefully every day nagbabrush ka ng teeth, di ba? When I'm brushing my teeth, I will practice one tongue twister. Right? So you're you're reducing the cognitive load of change.
Right.
Those are some small steps that you can do.
Right.
So when it comes to overcoming the fear of being seen, when I am taking my 20-minute walk, I will bring my phone with me and I will record something.
Okay. Good
Yeah?
one.
It's something like that. When I read something that I like, I will write it down on my notebook and I will spend 2 minutes just speed writing.
Right. Ako ay stuck, if I'm wearing makeup today, I must make a reel.
Yeah.
Kasi na-analyze ko na,
Right.
bakit ba ayoko gumawa ng reel? Kasi magme-makeup pa ako.
Right.
So kung naka-makeup ka na, kailangan gumawa ka ng reel.
Yeah. So it's also that, diba? You kind of make
Right.
an environment for yourself to make things
Right.
easier for change.
Right.
So, ganun din, for example, my husband created my workspace na may lighting na, i-on ko na lang siya, makaka-film na ako.
Okay. Hindi ka na pwedeng tamarin.
Oh, parang natamad ako mag-ano today. Ay,
Tama.
diba? So, our brains are naturally lazy. Ganun talaga. Nagsisave talaga siya ng
Right.
energy. So, you kind of wanna hack it into,
Right.
how do I make change easy? How do I create an environment for myself where lasting change is gonna be a little easier for me to do?
Wow. So make it easier for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes.
Share a thought.
Yeah.
Help a friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Have a conversation.
Have a conversation.
Yeah. Write about that conversation. When I have a conversation with a friend,
Right.
I will write down my own insights about it. Right? So, parang natitrain na rin yung brain mo to, organize your thoughts, to speak.
Right.
Right? We're all like that as human beings. So, you don't need to force your brain to do something. You just go with its natural patterns.
Right. Great. Thank you so much, Kia. I learned so much.
Thank you.
Now, where can people find out more about you and watch all your
I am the most active.
videos?
I'm the most active on TikTok, but I'm
Right.
also starting to get a little bit more active on Instagram. I also have a newsletter called the Creative Rethink Tank.
Cool. And how can they subscribe to that?
Just go to Substack.
Okay.
Substack. I'm on I'm on Substack.
Right.
There.
She
Kia
also has a
Abrera.
really great website. So,
Thank you. Yeah, bravecreatorslab.com.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you for listening to You Can Do This. If you want to know more about me, visit mirza.com. That's MYRZA.com. And follow me at Mirza Season on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and LinkedIn. If you like this episode, please don't forget to rate it 5 stars. Hit the follow button on your podcast streaming platforms and hit the notification bell to get alerted every time we release a new episode. Catch you at our next convo, and always remember, you can do this.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.